Hello everyone, welcome back to my series. Today, we continue following the turbulent story of Ly Hoai Ca. As you all know, in the previous episode, Hung's mother, while trying to escape the law, leapt into the raging river as the police closed in on her. Days later, a floating corpse was discovered, but fortunately, or perhaps terrifyingly, it wasn't Hung's mother. She's still alive, hiding, lurking in the shadows like a ghost in the real world. But from the darkness, Hung's mother has not vanished. She has begun to move. Faint traces start to appear around Hoai Ca's home, unanswered phone calls, strange footsteps in the dead of night, and that bone-chilling feeling of being watched. All of it leaves Hoai Ca increasingly unsettled. Meanwhile, Hung, though he is a police officer, is torn between duty and family. He must stay close to the investigation while being unable to stop worrying about his mother, the woman he loves, but who is also the prime suspect in this case. And then, an unexpected twist strikes. A mysterious letter is delivered straight into Hoai Ca's hands, containing only a few hastily scrawled words. If you want Hung to be safe, meet me. Could this be the first trace of Hung's mother? Or is it nothing but a cruel trap? And Hoai Ca, the woman who has already endured so much pain, will she dare to step into this confrontation to protect the man she loves? Stay tuned for today's episode to uncover the latest, most intense developments, as the darkness begins to tighten its grip on both Hoai Ca and Hung. After those harrowing moments of sheer panic standing before the corpse recovered from the riverbank, Hung could barely breathe. But then, when the identification results were announced, his knees nearly buckled, not from grief, but from overwhelming relief. It wasn't his mother. Back home, utterly exhausted, Hung sank into his chair, his trembling hands clutching his head. Hoai Ca quietly stepped closer, gently placing her hand on his shoulder, as if trying to lend him a fragment of peace. "It's not my mom." Ca, Hung's voice was hoarse, but within it flickered a faint glimmer of hope. I've always believed she's still alive. I can't believe she'd leave me like that." Hoai Ca gave a soft nod, her gaze tender but shadowed with worry. "I believe it too. Maybe things will change, Hung. Maybe she'll finally see everything." Hung let out a faint smile, weary after days of relentless tension. For the first time in so long, a fragile spark of hope began to glow within him. He told himself, if she really is alive, then maybe, after everything, she'll understand. She'll see the truth. She'll see what Hoai Ca has done for me, and then she'll find the strength to turn herself in. Yet, deep down, he knew that path would never be easy. Because his mother, the woman who once loved him more than anyone, now bore a burden of guilt that could never be erased. And would she have the courage to face it all, or keep running like a shadow, dragging everyone bound to her into an endless spiral of pain? In that fleeting moment of peace, Hung gently tightened his grip on Hoai Ca's hand, seeking solace. He didn't know what awaited them ahead, but he knew one thing: he was no longer alone. After countless stormy days, Hung had finally managed to pay off most of the crushing debts that had weighed him down for so long. The burden on his heart began to ease, and for the first time in what felt like forever, he could breathe a little easier. At last, a glimmer of peace began to shine on his and Hoai Ca's lives. In that quiet moment, Hung looked at Hoai Ca, his eyes no longer as tense as before. He spoke softly. "Ca, go home. Go back to your house. We don't have to hide anymore. I want you to live a normal life again, just like before." Hoai Ca froze, her eyes turning red with emotion. She nodded slightly, a faint smile spreading across her lips. After all those months of standing strong beside Hung, she could finally return to the familiar house filled with so many memories. Deep down, She believed this might be the first step toward a new beginning. That night, standing by the window under the still night sky, Hoai closed her eyes and clasped her hands together as if in prayer. I hope Hung's mother will be safe. I hope she'll realize her mistakes, turn herself in, and receive mercy, so that all of us can truly live in peace. As for Hung, though he tried to remain calm, deep down he couldn't stop following every update on the investigation. He knew that until his mother was found, none of this would truly be over. After a long period of struggling to pay off his debts and enduring the emotional shock of his mother's disappearance, Hung's body finally began to break down. The dull pain in his chest, which he had once dismissed, now returned, more intense than ever. One morning, when he felt his heart pounding erratically and cold sweat soaking his skin, Hung was forced to go to the hospital for a checkup. The results left him speechless. The doctor's voice was stern. Your condition has relapsed, Hung. There's no more time to delay. You need to be admitted to the hospital immediately. If you keep pushing yourself, your life will be at risk. Hung fell silent. Staring at the ceiling, it felt as if the weight of the world was pressing down on him. He didn't want to be hospitalized, not because he was afraid, but because there was still too much left to handle. His debts had only just stabilized. His mother was still missing, and then there was Hoai, who still believed he was as strong as ever. No, I still have work to do, Hung hesitated. But the doctor was resolute. There is no other choice. Either you're admitted now, or you risk paying with your life. In the end, Hung had no choice but to comply. He hid everything, telling no one, not even Hoai. He didn't want her to worry any more than she already did. In the days that followed, Hoai kept waiting. Every evening, she looked toward the door, hoping to see that familiar figure appear, but Hung never came. She tried to comfort herself. Maybe he's just busy with work. Or maybe the investigation into his mother's case has intensified. He probably just hasn't had the chance to visit. And yet, deep inside, a gnawing sense of dread began to take root, an unease that wouldn't let her sleep in peace. After narrowly surviving the raging river, Hung's mother felt no remorse. On the contrary, everything she had gone through only fueled the hatred burning inside her. In her mind, every ounce of suffering, being hunted by the police, losing her refuge, living like a fugitive, was all because of one person, Hoai. She told herself that if it weren't for Hoai, Hung would never have turned his back on her. If it weren't for Hoai, their family would never have been torn apart. That deep-seated resentment festered, twisting into an obsession that left her teetering on the edge of reason. And then, on a dark, stormy night, standing on the far side of the border and staring back at her fog-shrouded homeland, she let out a cold, bitter laugh. She no longer intended to run. Hiding had only made her weak. Now, she was coming back. But this time, she wasn't coming back to surrender. She was coming back for revenge. In her mind, Hoai was the one who had taken everything from her. And if she couldn't bring Hung back to her side, she would destroy the one thing he treasured most, Hoai herself. Day by day, she secretly plotted her return, erasing every trace of her trail to avoid the police. A plan was taking shape in the shadows, while Hoai, blissfully unaware, continued living her brief days of peace with Hung, completely oblivious to the storm that had yet to begin. After days without any contact from Hung, Hoai felt as if she were sitting on pins and needles. She called him, texted him, even reached out to some of his colleagues, but there was nothing, no reply, no sign of him. That silence felt like an invisible hand tightening around her heart. She was so worried she could barely sleep, her mind consumed with thoughts of him every single minute. Finally, unable to endure the gnawing unease any longer, Hoài Ca decided to return to their old house, partly to check on the place, partly hoping she might find some trace of Hùng there. But she had no idea that for days on end, a pair of bloodshot eyes had been watching that very house in the cold darkness, Hùng mother, lying in wait, lurking for this very moment. The old door creaked as it opened. The wind whistling through its rotting wooden frame made Hoài Ca shiver. The silence around her was eerie, broken only by the rustle of dry leaves outside. She stepped cautiously, her trembling hand brushing against the latch as if afraid to shatter the deathly stillness that hung in the air. And then, "You vile fox." A chilling, hate-filled voice suddenly rang out from behind. Hoài Ca spun around in shock. But before she could react, a figure lunged at her from the shadows like a wild beast. Her tangled hair, her gaunt face, and those blazing, hate-filled eyes, it was Hùng mother. Before Hoài Ca could even scream, an icy hand grabbed her by the hair and yanked so hard she nearly lost her balance, her vision spinning. You ruined me. You turned Hùng against me. All of it is your fault," the old woman shrieked, her voice rasping like metal scraping against steel. Hoài Ca struggled desperately, clawing at the skeletal fingers that clung to her like iron. Her heart pounded wildly, her breath came in broken gasps, and tears welled in her eyes from fear and pain. "And Mother Hùng, please, stop. You're wrong. I didn't," Hoài Ca stammered, her trembling voice cracking in panic. But her words only fueled the fire. Hùng mother laughed, a sharp, chilling sound that echoed through the darkened house. "Tonight, you'll pay. I'll make you feel every ounce of pain I've suffered." Hoài Ca staggered back in terror, but Hùng mother held fast, her heavy, ragged breath hot against Hoài Ca's ear, reeking of hatred and madness. ChatGPT said. In the pitch-black old house, Hoài Ca's frantic breaths mingled with the chilling laughter of Hùng mother, cutting through the air like sharp blades. Outside, footsteps drew closer and closer, but were they a savior for Hoài Ca, or just a fleeting illusion in the midst of despair? Meanwhile, Hùng lay in the hospital, completely unaware that his mother had returned and was targeting Hoài Ca. Could his already fragile heart withstand the truth? And would he make it in time, before it's too late? As for Hùng mother, with bloodshot eyes and seething hatred, what will she do next? An inevitable confrontation is coming, and the outcome could change everything. So, what will happen next? Will Hùng mother strike Hoài Ca? Will Hùng arrive in time to save her? Or is there an even more terrifying secret waiting to be revealed? Stay tuned for the next episode tomorrow to uncover the whole truth.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người. Hiện tại bây giờ thì trời ở bên mình là giờ Việt Nam thì cũng khá là khuya rồi. Thì hôm nay mình vừa hoàn thành xong tập mới nhất về nội dung của câu chuyện tình yêu của mẹ đơn thân Lý Hoài Ca và cuộc sống của cô ấy. Như mọi người cũng đã biết thì Hoài Ca và Hùng thì yêu nhau cách đây cũng phải hơn 1 năm rồi. Tuy nhiên là ngay từ khi họ gặp nhau và bắt đầu thì đã gặp phải sự phản đối của mẹ Hùng. Như mẹ Hùng là một người bảo thủ, bà ta luôn chọn những người phải môn đăng hộ đối và giống như là xem về gia cảnh thì mới cho phép quen. Không phải Hoài Ca là người đầu tiên mà bà phản đối, mà trước đó đã có người khác rồi. Đến nỗi mà cô ấy dù đã có con với Hùng mà còn không dám nói ra, là phải biết sự tàn độc của bà rất kinh khủng. Nhưng mà đến khi mà Hoài Ca và tất cả những chuyện bà ấy làm cho Hoài Ca thì chúng ta mới có thể thấy là đó là sự tàn độc của một người mẹ mà có tính chiếm hữu quá cao. Và Hoài Ca trong tập này thì đang gặp rất là nguy hiểm. Vậy thì diễn biến tiếp theo sẽ như thế nào? Mời mọi người đón xem tập sau ở video ngày mai nha. Bye bye.